So did Vladimir Putin buy Donald Trump, or did Donald Trump just think he had? Which is even weirder. Seth Abramson is with us. He's got a new book out laying all this stuff out. It's astonishing. Check it out. Leave your comments. Ding the bell, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. The Sturgis motorcycle rally, it turns out, is being linked to over 250,000 cases of COVID. We know of one death so far, but this was an amazing study that the German-based IZA Institute of Labor Economics did based on anonymized cell phone data. Anybody can buy the data about, who's where with their cell phones. And they wrote, this is from these researchers, quote, "The Sturgis motorcycle rally represents a situation where many of the worst case scenarios for super spreading occurred simultaneously. The event was prolonged, individuals packed closely together, a large out-of-town population, low compliance with masks. The results are staggering. They're estimating $12 billion that you and I are going to pay in healthcare costs for these guys as a result of this." Meanwhile, Donald Trump keeps rolling along and continues to be unwilling to criticize Russia or Putin or anything, basically any autocrat in the world, but specifically that. And Seth Abramson has a new book coming out, Proof of Corruption, Bribery, Impeachment, and Pandemic in the Age of Trump. It'll be out next month. And I'm sure it's available for pre-order. His previous books, Proof of Conspiracy and Proof of Collusion, he has dropped by our program to talk about. He put together a long Twitter thread, basically, with the premise of, I believe, Proof of Corruption over the weekend. I thought it was spectacular, and he's on the line with us. Seth Abramson. The website is Seth Abramson, Abramson, SETHABRAMSON.net. And of course, Seth Abramson at Twitter is his Twitter handle. So, Seth, tell us why this, this may not actually involve Vladimir Putin, but Trump thinks it does?
Well, Tom, first, thank you for having me. One minor correction. Actually, Proof of Corruption is out today. Everywhere books are sold.
Oh, great.
You can get it if you're interested in reading about it. So with respect to the tweet thread that I did that you were talking about, in 2008, Donald Trump was trying to sell an 8-figure Palm Beach property that he had made improvements to, but he hadn't been able to sell despite these improvements, despite trying to sell it for a long time, and he just wouldn't drop the price because he wanted to more than double his money. This was another example of his obstinance as a businessman and more evidence of his terrible business sense generally. But the upshot in the thread that I did on Twitter is that Donald Trump got rescued in 2008 and got almost 100% of his asking price for this essentially lemon of a property from a Putin ally, Dmitry Rybolovlev. And Trump believed that Rybolovlev was, in fact, a Putin proxy, and that, in fact, he was doing business with Vladimir Putin in 2008. That sale made him $54 million, almost, in fact, more than double what he had put into this property at a time that the economy was tanking. He was facing financial difficulty. And again, he firmly believed that Vladimir Putin had saved him. And so that really...
So this is basically a bailout for him.
Exactly. And it was a bailout, again, a $54 million bailout. But just to be clear, the story doesn't in any sense end in 2008, because when Donald Trump goes to the Miss Universe pageant in Moscow in 2013, he gives an interview to NBC in which he says, "Putin is following my activities. He follows my interviews. He's interested in me." Clearly, this is a carryover from less than 60 months earlier, this deal that he believed he had completed with Putin through Rybolovlev. And at the time that he was in Moscow in 2013, Tom, Putin's chief Kremlin builder, Aras Agalarov, was offering him the richest deal of his life, even better than the 2008 deal. So, of course, Donald Trump thought that Putin was not only interested in his activities, but interested in rescuing him from financial despair, and even more than that, making him into the billionaire that he's always claimed to be.
So why would a billionaire oligarch basically hand Donald Trump a $54 million check, during a major recession when Trump was out of cash and freaking out and maybe looking at another bankruptcy in 2008? Why would a Russian oligarch do that if it wasn't at the direction of President Putin?
Well, that's exactly right, Tom. And that's what we actually learned from both the Mueller report and the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence report, is that Vladimir Putin has that degree of control over his top oligarchs. He can direct them to spend their wealth in a particular way to help the state. Remember, Oleg Deripaska, another oligarch connected to Trump world through Paul Manafort, famously said, "I don't distinguish myself from the state." And that's the sort of state of affairs, no pun intended, that Vladimir Putin enforces. But one reason that Vladimir Putin would do
Seth,
that... Yeah.
I'm sorry. Finish your thought, and then afterwards tell me. I'm sorry. There's a slight delay here when I'm doing the show remotely like this. And also let me know, who was the oligarch who is bailing out Mitch McConnell right now?
So there has been obviously a lot of conversation about Oleg Deripaska's interests in investing in Kentucky, and that's its own sort of separate story. But just to finish the thought that I was mentioning before, is that one of the reasons that Vladimir Putin would do this and that his oligarchs would understand how important it was to the state and the interests of the state in Russia is that when Donald Trump went to Moscow in 2013, according to multiple witnesses, he was talking politics the whole time. Specifically, he was saying to people, Putin doesn't respect Obama, Putin respects me. And he felt that the Moscow Miss Universe pageant was a sign of Vladimir Putin's respect, as was, of course, he would have believed this deal that he thought he had done with Vladimir Putin in 2008. So this is when he was formulating his Russia policy in 2013, and he thought, Putin saved me in the past. He's about to pay me again with this Agalarov deal, and if I have the right policy, I'll get paid in the future down the line. And that is the key to the mystery of Trump-Russia collusion. That's why I did a thread about it. Wow.
So we have about 2 minutes left here, Seth. I'm wondering if you can weigh in on this theory that has been put forward by Umair Haque over at Medium.com, that Trump's real goal is to steal the entire country. If he can get himself reelected, he can basically do what Putin and what Erdogan and name your strongman. Put your cronies in charge of everything, and then have a piece of the entire economy be kicked back into your pockets. What do you think? He's trying to steal the country, basically.
Well, that's no question. That's been the transactional model of his entire life as an adult and as a businessman, and that's, in fact, how he's approached politics. He told Michael Cohen famously that his political career was an infomercial for his brand. He has catered to autocrats around the world who act in exactly this way in their own countries, including in Saudi Arabia, in the United Arab Emirates, in Turkey, in Ukraine, in Russia. So clearly, frankly, even in China, with his open collusion with China over alleged Joe Biden dirt back in 2019, and the way he's dealt with Kim Jong-un in North Korea. This is his model. This is what he does. And I don't know why anyone would expect a man in his 70s to suddenly change his stripes and love this country more than himself and more than money now that he's in his 70s. It doesn't make sense, and that's not what we've seen from him for the last 4 years.
The three competing theories are, number one, he's trying to stay out of jail. Number two, he's trying to make a little money, and he's trying to, he's profiting off the presidency, basically. But number three, he's trying to steal the whole damn country. Which of those three do you think is the most likely actual key to who Trump is and why he's behaving the way he is?
I think there's some truth to all of it. He appears to be a malignant narcissist, so he wants power. He wants autocratic control over the country. Therefore, he wants to steal in that sense. He's venal. He wants money. That's his primary motivating factor his entire life. So, yes, he's going to use the presidency to, I would say, make more than a little bit of money. I think that when you tally up everything he's made since he's been in office, he's actually done pretty well, especially considering that he's not as rich as he claims to be. So I think all three are true.